right, so Steve, let's get right into the first question. And I would like to discuss because you have gained a lot of experience from this by doing your own shows, because it's always something different when you're actually coaching people or experiencing those things yourself. So, what would you say are like the most common side effects of very low body fat percentages?
So yeah, no, thank you for the kind introduction, and yeah, I'm absolutely blessed to be able to interview some of the brightest minds within the natural bodybuilding community. It's helped me as a person progress my own physique massively, and hopefully anyone listening, definitely head over there and listen to those guys, because they spout some good knowledge. But anyway, in terms of like, yeah, I completely agree. To coach someone through a bodybuilding prep is very difficult if you have never done it yourself. I'd say you can do it and it can be done, but some of the things you just, without having done it yourself, it's kind of like if you've never fainted before, you don't really know what that feels like. And have you fainted before, Dino?
No.
No. Like, it's quite weird. Like, actually fainting is quite a weird experience. Or maybe, like, if you've never had a nosebleed before, and then you have a nosebleed, it's like, what the hell is this? Like, this is weird. Like, I've heard about nosebleeds, but I didn't realize they actually, like, ran so long out of your nose. Or, like, when you faint, you do get, like, it's just a strange sensation that if you haven't experienced it before, it's hard to really take someone through it. So I think going through a prep is absolutely almost kind of, not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a prerequisite as a coach, but it's certainly helpful, or at least having people who have done it, or at least having gone through low body fat percentages. So in terms of kind of the main symptoms, I think they really vary person to person. So some people really feel it when they get down to those low body fat percentages, and I have to either say that that's related to their set point or settling point. So if there's someone who is naturally a lean guy or lean female, and then they get kind of extra lean, they're going to feel a bit crummy, but not as bad as someone who's come from like a really high settling point. Maybe they're used to being like 16, 18% body fat as a man, or like closer to like 30% as a female is like where they normally are. And then they've dieted for a long time to get down to kind of almost single digits. They're going to feel the effects much worse. But in terms of, for me, when I first dieted down, and the reason I said it depends on kind of almost on the length of diet and if you're a lean person, is because I am naturally quite a lean individual. And so I don't think I feel some of the effects as bad as other people. And the first time I prepped for a longer period of time and lost more weight. I lost 30 pounds to get down to stage condition. Whereas this time it was closer to 15 pounds. So half the amount, and basically less than half the dieting time, which has meant the actual effects that I felt have been much less severe. So for myself at the moment, the thing that I've recently noticed is kind of mood swings. So that's the thing. It's bugging me so much recently, because I know I'm mood swingy as well. Because once you've experienced it before, you kind of know these things are going to come on. But yeah, mood swings is one of them. So I just end up getting kind of pissy for no good reason. Someone could just kind of rub me up slightly the wrong way, and I'll take it out of hand. Or like just generally walking down the street, if people are kind of, I don't know, they might just be like walking too close to me or something like that. I'm just like, what? Why are you here? Go away. So yeah, mood swings is one of them. And that's all to do with, like, obviously hormones. Like, your body just is uncomfortable with where it wants to be. Probably one that I've noticed has actually improved for me recently, but poor sleep quality. So just generally, again, the body's a bit uncomfortable, so it just doesn't want to sleep. It doesn't want to kind of do things that it normally would not do easily. And I think particularly when you're in a calorie deficit, you're on lower carbohydrates, you drink quite a lot because you're trying to keep yourself full, and kind of having lots of liquid in your stomach is a good way to do that. But you're holding on to less carbs because you're in a deficit, so you're kind of depleted. So you end up just flushing out liquid all the time. So you get up peeing through the night. I must wake up like 3 to 5 times like through the night, just getting up to pee. I'm just like, again, if I wake up, I know I'm going to have to pee. So that happens. So those are some of the things that are a bit more, when you get more severe dieting, they're some of the things that pick up. And then other ones that happen just when you diet anyway, like food focus, hunger, low energy levels, they just become more extreme and exaggerated. So an example of that for like food focus, that might well be, and I have a bit of a ritual before I go to bed every night. So literally, I have to pre-prepare this meal. If I don't pre-prepare it, like, I'm screwed, and I get quite upset. Like, if I'm out on the weekend with my girlfriend and we've been out all day and like we've got back late and I haven't pre-prepared it, I'm like, what am I gonna eat tonight? Because I really want this certain meal. So what I do is, it's basically, I cook my oats, recook them, keep cooking them. It makes them more voluminous, which is hopefully, well, it's to keep me fuller. I have more to eat that way. And then I cool them and I put casein pudding on top and I eat that before bed. And every single night I eat the same thing. Like every night I eat it with my spoon in my Tupperware container. It has to be the same. And if my girlfriend, like, I notice she'll like turn over and look at me eating, I'm like, what are you looking at? Leave me alone to my meal. So like little things like slight eating disorders, like, or disordered eating rather than eating disorders, those sort of things happen. You become very ritualized with like your spoon, your eating timing, all of these different things, and you notice things a lot more. So if you miss a meal or if it's slightly delayed, you just feel that impact a lot more. Nutrient timing as just a principle becomes much more important once you are leaner and dieting, so you feel that effect. And then one I have to bring up is the low libido. I think part of that is it's not necessarily really low for some people, but they end up just focusing so much more on food. And like, I always make the joke, like when you're scrolling through your Instagram feed, when you're in gaining phase, you're just looking at like Insta chicks with like good glutes. And now once you're in your dieting phase, you're like all about the food porn, and you're just like,
I know
what are these accounts like junk banter and like, oh, I want all these American treats. If you're probably the same as me, and I end up like looking for hours at this cereal and like, that is an annoying, but it comes with the territory that you just end up, the body shuts down things it doesn't think you need. So once it's kind of in a starved state and you're very, very lean, it's like, well, you're not really in a position to reproduce. We're going to turn that stuff off. We're going to turn on all of your hunger. We're going to make leptin really low. We're going to pump up ghrelin and make you want food. So you have to fight against these things. And yeah, like you said, without having gone through it, you don't really realize how bad some of these things can get. And it's only once you kind of, even once you're in it and then looking back and reviewing it, that's when you really realize, like, that was weird. Why did I do that? Like, when you're in your gaining phase, you don't care how your food really looks. But once you're prepping and you're on low body fat levels, you're like, oh, this meal has to look pristine. I'm going to take a photo of that and put it on Instagram. It's going to look amazing. So yeah, those are some of the things that I've ended up experiencing as someone getting below kind of 6% body fat is
And something that happened to me actually, so I'm interested if you have experienced the same thing, is it might sound dumb, but sometimes I'm like so low of energy, especially like after I've come home I've done a really hard session, I've done like an hour of cardio, I come home and just taking my clothes off is like such a hustle, and it takes like so much energy. It's like, oh, look at how hard this is. And just like shaving your legs or so, anything that takes like a lot of time. And so it's really frustrating. And afterwards I was like, man, that's like really strange. That's such, I mean, what is it, like, taking your clothes off? I mean, when you're bulking, it takes you like literally 20 seconds.
You wear no clothes.
But it's like a really big deal when you're dieting.
No, yeah, exactly. And no, I experienced the same thing where like little mundane tasks like taking out the trash or whatever it might be, you're just like, I do not, like, you do anything to put it off. I especially find it after like deadlift day, like after a day of like heavy-ish lifting, or like my deadlifts just tax me. I get home and I could sit down, like I've sat down on the toilet for like an hour just putting off getting up, like because I just know I don't want to. Even like to the point of which, and this is when you know you're in a deep deficit and you're really like, kind of low on energy, is you can't be bothered to make meals. Like I know I'm kind of like a catch-22. I'm like, okay, making this meal is going to be effort, but and I'm really tired, but I want to eat. But if I delay it by more time, that means I get it closer to my other meal and I have to wait less time for that meal. So I'm like, maybe I'll just rest here for a bit longer. Yeah, definitely dragging your feet, kind of you got less spring in your step. I definitely notice that when I have like, particularly if I have like a diet break for like a week, and I'm like, by the end of that diet break, I'm like, wow, like I'm running up the stairs. What? I was not doing this a week ago. It's so surprising how much the body kind of fights you and adapts to the deficit.
Most definitely, and I can relate to so many of them that you listed. I mean, and it's really, sometimes it's like everything is going great, and there's like that certain number of body fat percentage where it just clicks, and all of a sudden it's like diet mode. So it's really strange, and it's exactly, I can only say that it's really, if you, I have so many friends that were like naturally lean all the time, their whole life, and so when they get their lower abs to show, they feel fine, they feel great, they have a lot of energy, and so, but me, I was always growing up a fat kid, so I'm kind of the opposite of you, and so for me, to get my lower abs to show, it takes a lot of it. It takes a lot out of me, and it's like really hard, and my body's trying everything to fight me. And so it's really kind of where you're coming from and what your body's used to. So agreeing on that, absolutely.